Hola amigos, Jeep here. So I'm gonna talk about a bunch of Korean games that I played for Steam Next Fest back in June. For the last few Next Fests, I've been doing one of these like wrap-up overview videos, and I completely forgot to do it for June. So before all these games leak out of my brain, I'm just gonna jump over to them and show you them one by one and explain what I played. So you can see I did it in two live streams. One was 5 hours long, one was 3 hours long. You can watch those videos if you want, they're in Korean. I also did I played a bunch of games, like 14 different games for a small indie event that was in Seoul called SeoulGameTown. And so maybe I'll talk about these games as well as a part of this video, but yeah. So first, starting with Steam Next Fest, let's see, one of the first games I played was this one called The Alley. So this is a horror game where spooky things happen and there's ghosts, basically. It's very rooted in like Korean, what do you call it, supernatural type stuff. You basically are this girl, you're walking through an alley, like a younger girl, I guess younger woman walking through an alley, and you call your mom because you're scared, like, oh no, there might be ghosts here. And as you're going through the alley, things get spookier, and you get calls on payphones. Maybe I don't think this is supposed to take place in the past, because you use a cell phone, it's like a smartphone, but you still get calls on like these like alley phones and stuff. So anyway, the performance was very bad in this game. Like, they really need to do some optimizations to make it better. The controls were also kind of tricky. Like, the cell phone was a main part of your control scheme, interacting with like calling different people, reading texts, using the flashlight, using like different like apps on your phone was kind of a part of it. But there was some weird stuff where it was like hard to get in and out of the phone, and it was kind of hard to figure out like what your next goal was. So, you know, it's kind of a combination between walking simulator and like a survival horror games. I don't know. Interesting content, not so great execution. That was my experience. All these games are being, worked on. They're not finished. So yeah, maybe in the future we'll get better. Next one, The Bow. This was not very good in my opinion. It was you can see here, it's like what do you call these things now? I guess they call them incremental games now. They used to be called Vampire Survivor games. But yeah, it's an incremental shooter game. I found it, like, at least the starting, where you have to like, shoot one arrow at a time, like I would just get overwhelmed so quickly, and I didn't find it very fun. So it needs some balance work. Of course, again, I love the theme. Like Korean stuff like this, I just love, but could not get into the game. I don't generally like this type of game, so it's just my opinion. Cook Village. I think this was maybe my favorite game of all the things that I played for Steam Next Fest. So it's a deck building game. In some ways you could think of it as similar to Slay the Spire, but you aren't fighting enemies. You have like these little plots of land where you're placing different types of food stores. And different food stores will last a certain number of turns, and they'll also like produce or be able to transform other resources that either get you points or get you resources that you need to play other cards in your deck. And as you go, you're like sort of building up the complexity of the cards that you can play, but then you also need to support those with the types of buildings and things that can like provide you those resources. And so it's like this like game of like trying to like build up everything within like a couple turns and then like pull the value out of them. It's really, really good. Very well designed game, very cute, fun to play, like really snappy. Like, I have no complaints about this game. Very good. Okay, what do we got? Doomed Otaku. Okay, so this one is a very bizarre game where at least the start that you're seeing here takes place in the metaverse, and so all these characters they've been playing an MMO type game for a very long time. And then, like you see, it goes back to the real world where everything's kind of black and white. And the main character is, a huge fan of this game and spends too much money on this game to the point where like he can't afford to make rent. He's like really addicted. And so he's kind of a shut-in and like kind of afraid of people, but because of the situation he's in, he's forced to go out and like meet the neighbors in his apartment or go outside of his apartment and do certain things. And it's like kind of like an adventure RPG story game. I thought it was pretty good. It definitely had a lot of like interesting moments and like seemed like the story was going to interesting places. So pretty excited about this one. But it is like very very niche and specific to like if you get a lot of these in jokes that are related to like gaming culture and otaku culture and anime and stuff like that. Interesting game. Yeah, and definitely some RPG elements. You really do collect stuff and like level up your stats and whatnot. Interesting. Good writing too. Very, very well written. Maid Cafe Simulator. So this is different than the other Maid Cafe Simulator that I played at a different Next Fest. This one is actually 3D, and it's more like you're actually like running the shop and like setting up the inventory and assigning the jobs that people will do. I found this to be much more in depth than the other simulator game I played, which was like a little bit more of like a click management game, like the old Diner Dash type games. This one's like actually more like a simulation. And so you work in the store and perform jobs as well as the people that you're assigning to different tasks. And then, you know, they have a story like how they relate to each other. And like, there's, you know, there's obviously some fantasy fulfillment dress up stuff, but yeah. Yeah, interesting. If you're into Maid Cafe culture, this could be like just to the level of like, I don't know, going deeper into the simulation that you might enjoy. I'm not sure like how well the story fits on top of it or not, but it's an interesting attempt, at least. What else we got? Freestyle Football 2. This was kind of cool, sort of. It was like sort of like Rocket League, but actually soccer instead of car soccer. So it was small teams. I think it was just 3-on-3 or maybe 4-on-4, maybe 5-on-5. I don't remember. So it was very like competitive and like arcadey action, sort of like soccer, like you can think of it like NBA Jam, you know, something like that with the newer generation. It was cool. If you're really into soccer, you might get into this. Like, you know, all the characters have different abilities and like you're working together. There's probably a lot of teamwork and strategy involved in coordinating all this stuff. Personally, I'm not into soccer, so like the theme does nothing for me. But I don't know. You know, actually, here was the biggest problem for me, and maybe this is my problem with soccer, is that, like playing soccer, if you don't have the ball, you're just kind of running around supporting, kind of waiting for something to happen or being able to do something, and only one person can have the ball at a time. So it kind of feels like a game where, you know, one person's having fun, and then there's like 9 other people waiting for their chance to have fun, which this is just why I don't enjoy playing soccer. For somebody who's deeper into soccer, I'm sure they have a bigger appreciation for this, but there you go. That's I don't know, very polished, I will say that. Iron Bird. Okay, this is one of those games I feel like I'm not remembering very well. Let's watch for a second. I love this song. This wasn't in the game, but they should put this in the game because that's a cool song. Anyway, yeah, it's just a shooter. There's nothing else going on as far as I can tell. Yeah. Okay, Locked in Love, The Office. Okay, so this is a FMV dating sim game, but you're sort of like in a weird scenario where you're in this office building and there's someone toying with you, setting up these like traps and puzzles, and you're trying to figure out how to solve the puzzles so that you can escape and advance downward. Like the whole story of the game is set up where the top floor is like, you know, the beginning, and each chapter goes down another like set of floors, which is a really cool like visual way of like showing what the progression of the chapters in the story is. I like that aspect. But the thing I really loved about this game is the cinematography was actually amazing. Like, I'm not talking about like blockbuster quality, but like they did some really, really tricky, really interesting like camera work and special effects that like made everything tie together very well. The sets are really well done. The dialogue, the acting, it's all really well done. This is like maybe I'm not 100% sure, but I think this might be like the highest quality FMV game I've ever seen in my life. Which is I've seen a lot, and I don't know, it's kind of crazy, but yeah, very very well done. I'm just impressed. There was some stuff that I was like, I don't know how they pulled off this camera work. It was just incredible, actually. That said, it is a very cheesy like romance dating sim adventure game. So like, the gameplay is very very thin. It's just story. Occasionally you make a branching choice that has no effect on the rest of the story, and the puzzles are all pretty lame. So yeah, it's more like just an interactive movie than anything else, but really well done. Amazing. I applaud the devs on their work with this one, or the directors, whatever you want to call them. Too hot to be true. Okay, this is like the opposite, and like comparing them back to back was like so obvious the difference between like a good quality shot FMV game and like a very, I wouldn't say this is poor quality, but it was like nothing compared to the other one. It's like so simple, like very lame, like everything was kind of weird and awkward, like all the acting, all the story. No, I cannot recommend this kind of game unless like obviously you're just in it to like look at pretty girls, I guess, but I mean there's a lot of choices you have there. I wouldn't pick this one. What was the story? I feel like I can't even remember because it was so, well yeah, there was like, what was it? It was like you had a roommate and she's like kind of, I don't know if she was a former girlfriend, she's kind of mean to you, and then you go and you meet somebody and you invite her to your house, and then they like you're supposed to cook them dinner. I don't know. It was just bad. Okay, next. There is no next stop. Yeah, this was like kind of like psychological horror story game, very very story heavy, like visual novel more than anything else. Where you make a few choices. It had some really like not jumps, well maybe jump scares, like some really scary moments where like there's monsters. Like maybe they'll show it right here and spoil that moment that I'm talking about. Yeah, there you go. Stuff like that happens. But I don't know. It was a little bit too wordy. I thought it was decently written, but a little too wordy. And then there's like this twist at the end of the demo. All these games I played are just demos, where you meet a clone of a character that you met earlier, and they are in very strong disagreement with each other about who is the real one, and you have to decide. Which it was a fun twist, and it did make me like think about like, wait, which one is the real one, and how do I know, and what will be the consequences if I, choose the wrong thing. So, well done there. I thought it was kind of intriguing. Okay, what else? Four Lights. Very very story heavy visual novel, like extremely heavy visual story. I feel like this was like they had done a lot of like world building, and there was like this story of like this evil character and these good characters and like the stuff that was happening. But it was like way too grandiose for me to like wrap my head around. Like I felt like I couldn't really get into this at all. Very complex. If you're into super complex fantasy worlds, maybe this would be your thing. But like for me, I was like, this is just too heavy and too like complicated and long, very long. Yeah, I'll just leave it at that. Let's go. Thanks, Light. Okay, so I've actually played this before. The developer sent me a demo of this before this Next Fest demo that I played more than a year ago, maybe 2 years ago. And I liked what I played then. It was good. It was kind of buggy and had some, implementation issues. A lot of those problems have been ironed out, and I think this game has improved significantly. It's got really, really good atmosphere. You can see it's kind of a like Portal-style first-person puzzle game. It's got a cool mechanic. It's got cool atmosphere. It's got cool art. It's got cool sound. It's still like you can definitely tell it's a sort of a low budget, maybe even like a one-man show game. There's rough edges, and there's there's sometimes where it can't quite live up to the ambition that it's setting for itself. But it is doing a very good job in many areas. I think it's a great puzzle game. I would recommend this game for sure. But yeah, definitely check out the demo. Yeah, I wish them luck. This is a little bit more of like an example of like how the story plays out in the game. That was maybe my one complaint, is that since I play all these games in Korean, this one, the text that appears sort of will display for a short amount of time and then actively disappear before I have time to read it, because I'm a slow reader, especially in Korean. So that's a downside if you don't read English very fast or read whatever language the game is in very fast. I'm sure since it's all text-based, they can do translations and stuff like that. But I don't know. It was a trade between like atmosphere and usability that I wasn't super happy with that trade, but it was cool. Yeah, they do some fourth wall breaking stuff. Okay, let's move on. Where the Echo Sleeps. Yeah, this is a Papers, Please style game where people are sort of like okay, so this is in the post-apocalyptic environment, like a desert, Fallout style. You run a medical center, and you can't provide medical supplies and help to everybody who comes through. And so you have to like verify their information and decide who you're going to help or not help based on that. Conceptually, I like this idea a lot. Like, you know, it definitely plays on how Papers, Please works. But Papers, Please, the thing that was really cool about it is that a lot of the encounters that you have feel almost impressionistic, where they're like very, very short, very simple encounters where you have to sort of like boil down who is the character you're interacting with and what are you going to do to help or not help them in a very, very short amount of time. And it's sort of over the course of many encounters and many days that you like build up who those characters are and what choices you made and how that affects the world. This one doesn't, I don't think it understood those lessons, because every encounter that you have is very, very long and very wordy, and it kind of it feels like the pace of the game is too slow. You interact with one character for a very long time before you really get to make any choices, and then you interact with a different character for a very long time. And so it sort of goes too deep on these individual characters, like not just in terms of pacing, but like as a whole. I don't really feel like the payoff is there for how deep they go into like fleshing out these characters and what your job is. Like Papers, Please has a lot of like incrementing mechanics that sort of build on top of each other and that like add to like the speed, like complexity of the game. This one doesn't have that. It felt like way too simple in the game mechanics. I don't know. The art's interesting and it's cool. Like you can see this character here playing guitar. He's actually playing the soundtrack to the game, and so sometimes when he like stops playing like visually in the game, the music in the game will stop too. I thought that was really creative and like clever. So yeah, he's kind of the narrator of the whole game. You know, you probably get influences from Bastion there, but yeah, that's cool. What is this? Oh, this game, very interesting game. So this game, you work at a newspaper. You work with several other like editors and reporters and your boss, and you have to sort of like navigate the gap between reporting stuff that the government doesn't want you to report that should be censored, and like how you censor it and how you convey the information that you want to convey while still maintaining the rules so that your newspaper doesn't get shut down, as well as building an audience and getting sort of like going toward the specific messages that you want to deliver. It felt like there was a lot of different choices in terms of like what your goals could be was a little bit nebulous. You sort of had a lot of like freedom as a player to make those choices. This game is extremely well done. The writing is very good. The mechanic for how you actually do the editing, which is you basically set up the layout of the newspaper and where the different elements are. You sort of like bury some articles and make some bigger or smaller depending on how emphasized you want them. And then there's sort of like randomized factors that, you know, determine how well you did or if you got caught. as you're doing interviews with people, you can ask like more basic questions or more pointed questions, and you really do have to like make some trade-offs. I thought this game was pretty incredible. I think it's very, very interesting. It has, of course, some connections to real historical situations, and so all that was really, really cool. I thought this game was great. A little bit above my reading level in Korean, a little too hard, but I did enjoy it, the parts I could understand. So this one I didn't play during those live videos. I actually did separately as a separate live stream with my friend Danby. So Danby is another streamer, like a Korean streamer who plays lots and lots of other games. And you should definitely check out her streams on TGG if you're interested in those. But every once in a while we play games together, and so I said, hey, there's this co-op, Phoenix Wright sort of investigation type game. Do you want to play together? She said, yeah. So we played this. That was in a separate stream on my channel, it wasn't a stream. I recorded it and then posted it later, not as a live video. She streamed it to her TTT. But yeah, you solve puzzles together. Conceptually, I love the idea. Mechanically, this game did not work for me. I felt like a lot of it was like, guess what the designer wants you to do, because even though there should be like multiple solutions to many of the problems, you had to sort of pick the exact solution that they wanted you to pick to be able to advance the story. So I don't know, I felt like that didn't work so well for me. The kind of interesting thing is that, one character is a ghost, one character is living. And when you do your investigations, you're doing them simultaneously at the same time. And you both can see different things. So like the ghost can travel through doors and they can overhear people talking. And then the guy like can do physical things like pick up and move objects, as well as like talking directly to and asking questions to people. And then there's like some spiritual stuff that the ghost can only see, and stuff like that. And so you collect all this information separately, and then you get in your office together and like literally as players and as characters discuss what is the information that you individually found and how does it link together. And you set up one of these corkboards with the lines and the pins that, this is like the fantasy that we always want in our detective games. And you literally start putting things on the corkboard and connecting them together. But again, you aren't really given the freedom to connect things like in a way that you're discussing. You're sort of given like very specific questions, the developer to the player, like, okay, what date did this thing happen? And then you have to connect one thing to another thing. And if it's not exactly the right thing, it just says, nah, try again. And you just keep trying again until you find the exact, like, oh yeah, that actually is the date. And then it'll ask another question. Okay, who was at that place? And then you have to find the other things. So I don't know. I think the bones are there for something really cool, but currently it doesn't quite work. It needs some reworking, I think, to be a great game, or to even be a good game. Conceptually very cool. Okay, let's move on. That's the last game on my Next Fest list. I guess I'll run down these SeoulGameTown games really, really quickly. This is a live stream I did. So these games, unfortunately, most of them are not on Steam. They were very, very early prototype phase, most of them. There was one game that's on Steam, and I guess I'll just mention that one, and maybe, I don't know if I'll go over the others, but let's just look at it. So I'm just going to have this playing in the background. I'll turn it down a little bit. So this one basically is like, I would describe it like Saw, kind of, the game, or if you're familiar with Korean game shows, there's a game called The Genius, and then there's another game called, by game, I mean like not a game. What do you even call these things? In Korean, they're called 예능s. I don't know what they're called in English. It's a reality TV show. So it's like a reality TV show. There's one called The Devil's Plan. There's one called The Genius. And so in this game, you are basically two people who are imprisoned and handcuffed together, and you go into like this casino game. The rules of the game are laid out, and then you have to play the game, but then figure out how can you manipulate the rules of the game so that you don't like die, or one of you doesn't die, or both of you don't die, basically. So this is me like fighting with the controls, figuring out how to interact with stuff. But anyway, so there's like very story based, like a lot of like dialogue as you talk to each other and like try to work out like what is this situation that you're in, why are you locked in here, how are you going to get out of it. I really like this specific shot where it was a character like you see yourself reflected in the glasses of the other character who's handcuffed to you. I thought that was kind of cute. Yeah, I think I think there's some LGBT themes as far as I could tell, but it's very surface level. But yeah, what else we got? This game I did not enjoy, but it's Dungeon Convenience Store where you're a slime. It seemed like it was supposed to be a little bit like Wilmot's Warehouse, but the controls and the gameplay like were not working for me. I just couldn't really figure it out. So then there's this one. This was it was kind of in an unfinished state, but it was like a simulation of somebody in like very, very olden Korean times, and you have to do stuff. So that's not very specific because it was kind of a little bit in a broken state. But you kind of go from location to location and talk to people and do things. Maybe you're like solving crimes or something. I don't remember exactly. So then we got, what is this? I don't know what this game is. It's a lot of these were narrative games. 이 세계 증후군. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I think I liked it decently, but it was just kind of a very story-based game. Okay, moving on. So this is an AI-driven shopkeeper game where you're trying to sell items to patrons. And so each item has like sort of like fantastical properties about it. And as you talk with the patrons, if you talk about those specific things, reasons why they should pay more for that item, because like, oh yeah, this, totally slayed 5 dragons on this whatever mountain, or this arrow is made of a very special crystal that only comes from this one mine or whatever. So as you talk about those things, you can increase the amount that they're willing to pay for the item. You sort of haggle with them. I was struggling with this a little bit because of all the fantasy elements, and so I started sort of just like making up stuff about the items. Like I was just like being a slimy salesman and just being like totally lying and making up whatever I wanted. And it seemed like the game didn't really like react to that in a way that, like I couldn't get characters to believe false things, which no matter how well I tried to sell it. So I don't know. I'm not sure if it's interesting to just type what it already told you to type, but I don't know. Maybe some people would enjoy this. It seems kind of interesting. Okay, this game was a first-person shooter where everything is text-based, as you can see. And the text on things, like it'll say like gun, bullet, wall, ceiling, door, person, like literally the thing that's written is what the thing is that you're looking at. Like visually it was pretty cool. And this developer did another game like about a giant crab that was like pretty interesting. He tends to do like these very like crazy actiony sort of like arcade style games. I thought it was fine. It was all right. Yeah, visually very, very interesting. Okay, so this game was like a post-apocalyptic game. It was called like the Dancing Zombie, I think. Yeah, Dancing Zombies. And there's some kind of infectious zombie disease where it causes people to dance. And then you are like, it's like story-based visual novel. You're sort of like trying to escape from the city, and then like you bump into other characters who are also trying to survive, and you're trying to meet them and work together and stuff. It was super cute. It was very well written. The characters were very like interesting and fleshed out. But at a certain point, I just started laughing because I literally thought they were trying to make a joke by introducing like more than 10 characters all at the same time. Like you go to this one location and suddenly you meet 10 new characters. And like it just seemed like a joke where they were just like kept adding on more and more and more and more and more characters. And I'm like, oh, that's the joke, is that like we're just gonna leave and that'll be that, or they're all gonna die and that'll be that. But it seemed like it was like legitimately trying to introduce that many characters who were interesting, but like it was like very like overwhelming to suddenly do something like that. So I don't know. The other problem I had was the game is called Dancing Zombies. They literally, as far as I saw, they never showed a dancing zombie, which is like kind of like disappointing. I'm like, just show me the dancing zombie, but no, everything was kind of still images like this. So okay, uh, rule the dungeon. Okay, so this is how do I explain this game? So this game takes place inside of virtual reality. You are characters that go in and make sure everything's okay. I guess you're like game moderators, kind of. But like the virtual reality world is like an actual living world, and like, you know, if people get hurt in that virtual reality, they get hurt in real life. That sort of concept. And so you are going on a training mission to learn how to like do this job, and then like there's some kind of problem, things go sideways, and so the people who are supposed to be guiding you, either they get hurt or they leave. I don't remember. It's just kind of down to you as the newbies trying to like solve this problem of like monsters overrunning this like virtual environment space. I don't know. It's just not really my style. It felt like a little slow. I don't know. I don't remember liking this that much. Okay, so this one, what is going on with this character? I don't. Yeah, so you're like a paranormal investigator. Okay, yeah. So this is like Oberdin kind of, where you're trying to figure out how people died here, or like yeah. Because your character, you're like you're like Death basically, in terms of like fictionally the character Death. You're the Korean version of that. You guide people to the afterlife, but to do that you have to figure out how and why and where they died. And so you're sort of going through this space and like figuring out clues and like writing in your notebook to say like who is who. And obviously you can see the Oberdin influence with like how they're doing the background style with the dithering and stuff. Yeah, it was decent. Okay, this game was really good. This, I think it's a lot of these were RPG Maker games, and this one obviously was as well. So this was a pretty meta story where the characters, one character is a game developer. They're just kids. They're like in like middle school or high school or something. One guy was developing a RPG Maker game. In the game, the fiction of the story is a character is making an RPG Maker game, and he's like super newbie. There's like a bunch of bugs and problems, and your character, you're the friend who you are playing the character who plays that friend's game, and you're playing that game, and you're like, oh wow, this, you know, has some problems. You should show it to me later when it's finished. And then a lot of time passes, and then you find out that this is a spoiler, but you find out the character who is making the RPG Maker game like dies suddenly in some kind of accident. I don't remember if it's a car accident or what, but he dies. And I don't remember how, but basically you end up going to his house and you go into his room, like of the character who's dead, and you start playing on his computer, and you find the RPG Maker game that he made that you played a long time ago. But you also find that he made not only that game, but like a sequel and like a third version. Like he made several sequels to that game that you played. And so then you're sort of you're playing an RPG Maker game literally as a player, but inside that game you're also playing several other RPG Maker games that are inside the game. And all of those, like, to progress, you have to like answer questions that exist outside of the games. Like you're gathering information in the bedroom of the character who made the games, so you can solve the problems that are inside the individual RPG Maker games. And then you're progressing through those so you can learn the story. And the title of the game, the title of the RPG Maker game that the character is making, is like sort of this like mysterious nonsense phrase. And your character doesn't know why the game is called that. Like you specifically ask your friend, why is the game called that? And he says, well, when you get to the end of the game, you'll find out why that is. It's there's sort of this mystery where like you have to play the game in the game to get through the story to find out why the game is called what it is inside the game. It's really intriguing. It's like very, very, very cool, very meta, and like very like sentimental, like touching, like really well written, and like I almost wanted to cry when I was playing this because like just some of the stuff that was coming out of it, like yeah, this is pretty incredible writing for a game, and maybe it's just because I'm a game developer, but like it sort of had this like time capsule aspect where you're diving deeper into like the creator of these games, his like psychology and stuff. Very cool. That's the most I can say about it. Definitely very interested in seeing where that goes. What is this? Faze Sin. I feel like I can't tell what this is. Yeah, this was like a straight up like RPG where you have fight encounters where you do turn-based battles. And it had like some weird fantasy fiction to it. I just couldn't really get into it. I didn't feel engaged with this game at all. I didn't really get it. Okay, so this game, this is oh, if you want to know the names of these games, because I'm just not going to say them all, just if you come to this video, you'll see them all listed here. You can probably find them there. Again, these are not on Steam. Maybe they will be eventually, but they might be on other platforms like itch. Korea has their own Steam that's called Stove, which has a lot of indie games. So if you want to find Korean indie games, go to Stove. Anyway, yeah, this game was cool. I love the art, the writing. This was maybe I know I just talked about like how I love the writing in that other game, but in terms of like dialogue and character writing, this was maybe the best. This was like very, very good writing. But it was just a conversation between two characters. One is like kind of this weird mystery character who maybe travels through time or has some kind of special message, or maybe he's in your dream. I don't know. And then another character, and you're just riding a bus. And it was cool. I liked it. It was very, very minimalist and very effective. And yeah, it was great. I love the colors. I love the art. I love the writing. I wanted to know where the story would go. And yeah, that was good. Okay, so there's this multiplayer game called We Are Table, which each player of 4 players controls one leg of a table, and you're each trying to move the legs of the table to try to navigate. But it was really buggy, and basically it kept like it kept crashing or like having very severe bugs. I didn't end up playing this with 4 players. I actually played it just by myself, controlling all 4 legs at the same time, which is not ideal, but like I just wanted to get a feel for like how does the game work. I don't know. This I don't know if we're calling these friend swap games now, but that's basically what it was. It's QWOP, but 4-player. I am bread, but 4-player. And I don't know, it's just one of those weird, frustrating control games. It was fine conceptually, except for that it kept crashing. Neon, what is this? NeonSector. I think this was just like a shooter, and I didn't enjoy it, so I kind of went by it really quick. I guess I don't have anything to say about this one. So this was a platformer stealth action game. I did not like this game. The controls were weird. It I don't know. It's just very like very amateur type game. Needs a lot of work. Very cute. I love the penguin hats and the walrus hats, or the seal hats, or whatever's going on here. But yeah, no, I just no. um, to amateur developers out there, keep working at it, keep making games. Eventually, you will get better. You will make better games. But this is just like a very, very small production. Not super interesting. What is this? Oh, this game surprised me. It's a gotcha game where you play Pong with your gotcha characters, and was more fun than I expected it would be. You have like special powers that you can use, and you know, it's just Pong essentially, but it was okay. Um, yeah, most gotcha games I feel like have no gameplay at all in terms of like they're just idle games. This one actually had some gameplay, so yeah, I'm doing better than the rest of the crowd on that one. Uh, what? This is an RPG Maker game where you're a robot. I feel like I was supposed to solve some puzzles and I got kind of stuck. I couldn't figure out the puzzle, and I just kind of gave up. Yeah, you're supposed to solve this word puzzle where you're looking in a database. You're trying to find like which character and what's their job and what's their birthday, and like yeah, it was a complicated that type of puzzle, and I just couldn't wrap my head around it, so I think I gave up on it. Okay, this game was fun. Okay, I take it back. I think maybe this was the best game that I played. Not the not the oh no, sorry. Of this set. Yeah, this was the best game I played. So this game is a Metroidvania game where you're a hamburger, and as you're going through, you're picking up the different hamburger ingredients. Like the lettuce is like a little cape that lets you like float more slowly. The cheese is a grappling hook that lets you swing, and here we get the meat patty, I think, and I don't remember what that does. Maybe we'll see. Oh, that lets you break through walls, I think, which maybe thematically is like not super clear, but yeah. So you just throw it and you break through walls. But this was really fun. It was like, it was just a very, very short, minimal Metroidvania, and I wanted to play all the way to the end because it was so fun. But yeah, very cute. That's that. What else? The guy who made this made several of these games, actually. In fact, he also, I believe, he also made the game about the guy who's making a game. I think that was another one of his games. So I'm not sure what the other ones he did were. I didn't like pay super close attention. I think maybe he made this one too, over here with this character. So he did quite a few of these games. It seems like an interesting upcoming developer. He might have done this robot game too. I don't know. I might be wrong. Okay, last one, I think. This one, it's about angels. I don't remember what's going on in this game. Oh, yes. Right. You're angels, you fall down from heaven, and you do these the jump man puzzles. You get a double jump, so you can jump twice, which lets you do a little bit of correction when you're in the air control. But like all of these games, insanely frustrating when you like fall down too far. I don't remember how far I got, but not too far, and I fell down pretty far enough times, like here, yeah, like that. Oh, not like that, but I fell down further. That was just like I was so like rage quitting, and I just couldn't take it anymore, and I quit. So yeah. Anyway, that's all the things. Like I said, this was for the last section here was for what's it called? SeoulGameTown. It's the second year that they've run it. I don't know if they'll do it for third year. I hope they do because it was a really cool event, and that it was in a physical location that anybody could go to, anybody in the public, and they could play a bunch of these games and more games that I didn't have access to. And I just played online because I didn't want to fly to Seoul. So maybe I'll go to Seoul next year, but yeah, not this year. Yeah, that's it. That's all I wanted to show is these SeoulGameTown games and the Korean games that I played for Steam Next Fest. That's my breakdown of everything. Yeah, I'll put links in the description if you're interested in these games. Go check them out. A bunch of them do have English translations. Maybe not all of them, but like I would say like 95% of them do. So you can play them in English too. That's all I got for now. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you'll check out whatever video I post next, whether it's English or not. Lately, I've been playing Earthborn Rangers, the card game. I'm doing a special well, I've invented a special difficulty mode called the Wretch, where all of my attributes are just one, so it makes the game very, very difficult. So yeah, I don't know if you're interested in living card games, maybe check that out. I play those in English. And yeah, thanks everybody. See you in the next video. Subscribe if you want. And that's it. Adios.